Record. Boom. Record. Are we recording? We're recording. Yeah. Full screen. Yeah. Yeah. Fuck yeah. Hey everybody, this is Podcast for we. Yeah, Podcast for we. This is a podcast for us as well as you, we, all of it. I'm your host K-Dog, co-host Ever, or host Ever, co-host K-Dog, aka Kevin, aka brown guy, other brown guy.
Okay.
So we're coming to you live, but not live, recorded, and then it'll come out later. You notice anything new?
Your hair moved from your chin to your head.
It's true. I was trimming my mustache and I fucked up, and I was like, this isn't gonna work. So I shaved it off, and I'm gonna regrow again. I fucked it up, and I was like, fuck, it's too low. It was like, I don't know, it looked pedophile-ish. So I was like,
I don't like doing I tried doing that, just the goatee. Yeah, I look like a creep.
Yeah, well, mine, the way when I shaved it, it looked kind of like real tiny. Like if I penciled it in, I don't know. It looked real bad. So I was like, fuck, get rid of it. And then when it looked stupid for me to be like that, so what the fuck am I doing,
Like you're wearing a helmet.
So, all right, let's get into this shit. I wanted to talk to you about something very controversial. No, I'm joking. PlayStation 5. Let's go there. You got one.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have one. And I wanted to talk about PlayStation 5 in all its glory. So we went back and forth in regards to load times, right?
On the text messages.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we got. Did we talk about it last time? I don't think we talked about it last
time.
No.
We didn't talk about it last time.
Right.
But we talked because we did the podcast right before it came out, I think.
There you go.
Well, anyways, yeah. So we were talking about load times and such. And what do you think about it so far? PlayStation 5. You played it. I only read everybody.
I've been playing Dragon Age from 2014.
How's it look?
It looks good. I mean, it runs clean. There's only one time that it slowed down, but it wasn't a frame rate issue. It just like got real slow because it's doing a bunch of calculations. It's doing a bunch of math. All the characters, all their hit points, and all that shit.
So you're thinking because the programming of the game,
I think it's programming.
And so, like, if anything, to make that work, you would need a patch or an update, which you won't get.
It does slow down when it gets hot.
What do you mean it gets? Oh, that I've heard about rumors about not rumors, but people talking about how the fan's really loud.
No, I could hear it when it was like really quiet, like at a load screen. I could kind of hear like the fan kind of like, but it's like real soft. It's not like the PS4 Pro, which sounds like it's gonna take off.
So the fucker gets that hot?
In the place that I have it, yeah, it's in a cabinet. I don't have it like out in the open.
Do you think that's of course it's a factor, right?
It has to be a factor, yeah, because it has like a wall above it, on the sides, underneath, and behind it, and then it's over the amplifier, which is generating a bunch of heat too.
That's stupid.
So that heat's going up. It's heating the platform. The platform's heating the PlayStation.
Because, as we all know, heat rises.
Heat rises.
Why the fuck do you have it right there?
Because it's fucking huge.
How big is it? You have a gauntlet right behind you. The Thanos gauntlet. How big is that?
It's about as big as that.
That's pretty big.
It's big. It's big.
Like that.
I think it's 400 centimeters. No, 40 centimeters. 400 centimeters. 40 centimeters.
Damn.
Which is, I think, almost half a meter.
You know what, though? In all honesty, let me show you something real quick.
I mean, I don't mind. The size isn't bad, but
it is bad if you can't put it somewhere. But let me give you a perspective here. This is like a PlayStation 13 right here. This is a computer.
Right.
So it's huge. It's fucking huge. So
but it's mostly empty space. When you open that thing up, it's mostly empty space. That's
irritating then. What the fuck? Okay, so can you pop the panels off and just leave them off? But then dust would get in there.
No, I'm saying that your desktop, that that unit you just took out is mostly empty space.
Let me think about that for a second, because
Which
it's
isn't a bad thing. It
it's
isn't a bad
built
thing because it helps dissipate heat.
there's that. Also, it's built for you to add shit, and the size of shit changes. So, for instance, the first video card I had was like about like yay big, and new one's like this. And so like and then you can double it up and then cross them over if you wanted to.
Right.
Now, and that's something that bothers me about the PlayStation 5, because I theorized about this when the PlayStation 4 Pro came out. It was like they came out with another system before, like 2 years before the 5, I think, right? 2 or 3 years, right? And it's like just a little bit better. And I was like, this feels like a place like iPhone Plus, you know what I mean? And I was like, I wonder if they're gonna keep following this model, and like, because people bought into it. So you come out with the PlayStation 5, right? And instead of making it so you can update it like even better, they made it so you would have to buy another one, like a Plus. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're pretty much locked in. There will be a PS5 Pro eventually.
Of course there will be. Yeah. However, I was like, and then, okay, so with iPhone, where are we going here? 9 to 10. There's not much of a, like an update. And then 10 to 11. In fact, they even got crazy with the names. They just jumped to 20 or some shit like that, right? They skipped a bunch of other numbers.
Samsung did that.
Oh, Samsung did that.
Yeah.
But like, you see where I'm going with, right? They're just gimmicky, and they're not really updating. They're not really coming up with something new. Now you stick someone with the $500 system, and that's cool, because the half-life is supposed to be what, 10 years, right? But then you had like it's actually 7, right? Then you got a PlayStation Pro in between.
Here's why it made sense for me. I had been wanting a second system.
You're not gonna fight me on this. I want it too. I'm gonna get it. I'm just saying. Let's just talk.
No, but I'm just saying, like, I had been moving my PS Pro from the living room to the bedroom, from the bedroom back to the living room, and I had been wanting another system. This is perfect because it's basically a PS4 Pro 2.
But you can agree with me though. It's not that much of an update.
It's iterative. It's a part of the engineering design process. I mean, you should never create something once and then say, okay, I'm done, and walk away. You should always be trying to improve upon it.
I agree with you. However, there's a different gimmick though before. Okay. So before iPhone, you had what? A phone, the flip phone, right? And then everything was like a thing of itself, like another type of flip phone. They even had the Matrix kind of phone where it pops out a battery or whatever the fuck. And then they came out with the iPhone, and that was a leap, right? And then ever since then, there was a big leap, right? And then it kind of stopped, right? So rather than improving itself, they gave in and started doing a thing where they were like, our business model, because we're a business, has changed. Instead of coming out the best product, we just have to come out with the same product, but just a little bit better. Because there has not really been an advance from flip phone to iPhone.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree. I mean, but what do you think would be the next one?
Okay. What I'm saying is, computers though, the thing is, they have to stay competitive, because everyone has a computer. You could swap them out and things like that. You can swap out parts and shit like that. So they have to be competitive. So it has to be the video card game. And so you playing your game with your video card, if it can't go to the next level, you're just not buying it. And they do sell a bunch, but like, truth be told, unless you're the shit, you're just not gonna, no one's gonna get your video card or whatever. So I mean, like with the PlayStation, they didn't even try to jump higher than it could have gone, because like it's based off of a PC model. So they don't really I keep looking at my PC because it's 10 years old, and I've only done like 3 or 4 improvements, you know what I mean, with $200.
Rocks.
And it's still like okay, for instance, you could play a game 10 years ago and it's like that fast to load, and then you could play at the top graphics, you know, and then even a game a year ago like that, you know what I mean? And it's not like, and if I update the video card and things like that, yeah, I could squeeze out a little bit more. But like when I go to play Tekken, it should be like that. So when I was texting you, you said it, yes, it made sense that 2 minutes or like a minute and 30 seconds goes to 50 seconds. That's a little bit faster, you know what I mean? But like I'm coming from a PC point. I'm still buying the system, but I'm coming from a PC point of view. It is not harder to make something a little bit faster. Just it isn't. But like it seems like they just kind of like whoop, they just settle for a spot, you know, because they knew they were going to sell their product.
I don't know. I mean, it is doing more, you know. I don't know. It is doing more. It is running at a high frame rate, you know, with better graphics. I was expecting a bigger jump in loading Tekken. It wasn't quite what I expected, but you know, then later on software, I'm guessing will be optimized for it, you know.
You think that?
Spider-Man, I mean, I didn't really feel like it was loading.
I Googled the Spider-Man load times. Yeah, I mean, you're going from like a minute to 14 seconds. That seems to be the thing. 15 seconds or 14 seconds. Like that's the highest I've seen it go from like the biggest load times. And Destiny, it seems like it really pays off. But Destiny 2. And
I haven't played this. I've been all over Dragon Age.
Oh yeah, I hear you, but I'm Googling this shit.
Yeah,
that's where I'm coming from. And I'm like, oh, okay. So 14 seconds. And I'm like, what the fuck, man? Because like I got PC games that took like a minute to load and then you upgrade and it's like instant.
Well, I mean, the technology exists, but it costs money and you trying to stick it in a $500 system, which actually you should probably be paying like $800 or $900 for.
I really do feel like they could have done it. Like, because what is a computer? You got your CPU, you got your hard drive, you got your RAM, and you got your motherboard to hold all this shit, which is your console, and then you got your video card, right? And a lot of these things can get combined into one, a video card and motherboard, and then you can combine the CPU with the motherboard. I mean, a lot of this shit can be done. I just built my computer. That's how I know that you can get it. I'm fucking dumb. That's the thing that gets me. And if I can Lego that shit together, I mean, like, fuck, you would think that a AAA company like Sony, but I digress. What I'm saying is I feel like they're hitting a bound, not a boundary, but a capitalistic view of things. Like, well, shit, I mean, why try when we make the money? I mean, like, seriously, they just slapped.
It's not about why trying. It's where's the sweet spot. Where's the balance between performance and price?
Instant download speed. I mean, like, shit, seriously? I mean, like, those are basics of computing. You want that shit? No one will fucking buy a game if computer-wise, if the fucking thing took like a minute to load. They want that shit instant.
The fact that there's a console war, I think, kind of debunks that, only because, if a system could make itself better than its competitor, then they would have done it. And then you have, one's a company in Japan, the other one's a company in the US. So, I mean, it's like, that should be no holds barred.
So, okay, I hear what you're saying, because competitors and such, but this is different. So,
if it was a monopoly, like iPhone, has kind of the monopoly on phone sales. I mean, most phones out there are monopoly.
Well, you got your Samsung.
Our monopoly are iPhones, right? But there is this competition between Xbox and PlayStation, and I think they're both trying to hit that performance sweet spot. They're pricing themselves out.
Here, I'm gonna throw this at you real quick. So airliners at one time, they got caught. This is how they got caught. I mean, not this is how they got caught, but they got caught. So they were talking to each other about how they should keep their plane tickets the same price. There should be no reason for that. They just, like, instead of being competitive. Yeah. So, I mean, it's not hard to imagine I being Sony and I being Xbox being like, hey, look, I mean, there's a reason the games are $60, right? I mean, like, there's something to that.
The thing with the airlines, it was, they had made a deal, it was like, hey, there's no point for us to, price ourselves out of our, we could keep our prices where they're at and our profit margins will stay high. This is different. This is how much can we give the consumer, without pricing out our consumer.
But they got caught and they stopped them.
Then I understand. But and then then the prices come down or whatever. But here it's a different business model. They had already jacked up the prices, and then they kind of just said, hey, you know what? we could make it cheaper, but why? Let's keep
Yeah.
our profit margins up. Here, they're stuck in a place where they want to raise the price, but they really can't. They can't, because everybody's always up in arms. They were up in arms over the price of the PS3 when it came out. That started a price war with the Xbox, because the Xbox was cheaper the year before PlayStation came out. This is different. Here, you're asking people to pay more, which is always harder to do.
You're not, but this is a cheaper system than the ones before.
What do you mean?
Like, it should be more, but it's not. It's like $500 if not.
Yeah, the PS4s it was at the same price point when
I know. I mean, like, and they took a hit for doing that. You know what I mean? Like, and PlayStation 3 was pretty expensive too. So what I'm saying is, like, I think they figured it out down the road, and it should be more because of inflation, but it's like the same price almost.
Yeah. And well, again, because the perception is, I mean, the consumer doesn't care. More is more. If you say you're going to charge us more, they're going to say, fuck you. So,
dude, if they would have sold that shit for $1,000, people would have bought it for $1,000.
I wouldn't have bought it.
You wouldn't, but another person. It's sold out, dude. You know what I mean?
But the thing is, there is a calculus. It's like, okay, let's say, okay, fewer people are going to buy it. You doubled the price, but what if only 30% of your base buys it? You've lost money.
Yeah.
Not only that, you've lost your your share of the marketplace. So, you start giving up ground to somebody else who starts to become more dependent on that Apple or whatever.
Sponsored by Apple, everybody. The same.
No, but what it is you get people dependent on your product. You make your product part of society, and then you can start raising the price on it. And that's why we have antitrust laws.
They're not going to raise the price on the place. They're just not,
because they don't have the monopoly on it. Okay, they're in a competition with Xbox. Now, and this is kind of hard to fathom that the two kind of work with each other.
I bet they do.
Not the timing doesn't suggest that, because neither one wanted to release their price points, right? PlayStation waited for Xbox to release their price point. Once they released it, boom, PlayStation came out with their prices, I think, within a week.
I think
they wanted to see what they were going to charge. If they were going to charge 600, they were going to charge 600. They were going to charge whatever Xbox was going to charge.
I think they're gaming the system. I think well, that's funny, pun on words. I think they're talking to each other, and they're just, and there's nothing I could do to prove this. There's just not. I just have a theory.
No, I think you cited the airlines, but again, that's different. That's, hey,
they got caught. The only difference is they got caught.
They got caught because their overheads were lowering, right? The planes were getting better.
You know that now.
The fly was getting cheaper, and they were like, hey, let's not lower our prices because we keep our profit margins high. This is different. Here, the technology is costing more, and that's a direct cost to the consumer. It's like, do we pass this cost to the consumer, or do we not?
I think they could have made a cheaper system and do more if they wanted to. I really do think that, because, like, all right, so you got Super Nintendo, right?
Okay, how cheap do you think they could have made the system?
Cheap? I don't know about cheap. What I want is efficient.
Yeah, and I mean,
I'll pay any kind. I will pay any kind of money to get exactly what I want. System, instant load times.
Honestly, I think it's underpriced. For what it is.
Yeah.
I think they're eating a lot of money, but again, they're hoping to sell software.
I have a theory that they didn't really put much development in it. They came up with a system that's a little bit better. They knew that they were going
to Pro. Yeah. I would agree. Yeah.
And they were like, hey, fuck, we don't really have to put, because it costs money to do development. So they just saved money.
A lot of the development went into
marketing.
The fan, the heat sinks, spacing things out, and the SSD, because the SSD is all custom. It's a proprietary SSD control unit that they're using.
Yeah, but that's pointless though. Do you know what a SSD is, right?
Yeah, but you also need something to manage and move that data at that speed. You could say, here's a freeway where it's possible to go 1,000 miles an hour. You still need to build the car that can take you there. You can put all kinds of SSD in there. You can make it read as fast as you want, but you still need something in the middle to take that data and manage it and send it.
I thought that's what the CPU does.
The CPU runs like
The
equations
thing.
and data. No.
No, the
It runs
thing.
algorithms.
No, it runs the thing.
You're you're right and you're wrong.
No, it is the brain. It is the brain.
Yes, you're right.
It
But
does
okay,
process. It does dude.
okay, so you need to
You're talking
pull
about the video. The
off
video
of
card.
SSD. You need to pull the raw data off the SSD, right? Then you need to run it through
The video card.
software, whatever the program.
The video card,
is.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, the video card processes the video information that gets spit out of the CPU.
No, the video card is a combination of probably. I'm guessing. This is just bro science. I mean, the video card probably, because you can get, okay, when I used to buy video cards, you used to have to buy a video card and a sound blaster, what we call it, right. But it was a sound card. But we know now that they're combined, right? Video, because through the HDMI. So you plug in your video card acts as a sound card too. It just does. I mean, when you're talking computers. Okay. All right. So when you're talking PlayStation, the video card, so you got your SSD that holds the data. You got your video card that processes the sound in the video. The CPU, what it does is go boop, 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 and goes like that. The RAM in between acts as like, like here's the data now. If you need it, I'm right here, and then and the CPU is the one who's is coaching all this shit. That's how it is. That's how I used to draw it.
When you have a thumb drive, you stick it in your computer.
That's another hard drive, another access.
It's an SSD. It's an SSD.
Kind of, yes. It kind of is. An external SSD, if you want to say that.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, you can say SSD. The SSD, there's no internal SSD. Nobody says that. You could say.
You just say SSD. You just say SSD.
Yeah, you just say SSD.
Because it's solid state.
Yes. The computer, the USB port still has to do the work of being able to pull the data off of that to send it where it needs to go.
No, the USB does that part.
The USB does not do that.
Yeah, it does. It's the universal like transfer device. It sucks up the data. The USB is just there as data.
The computer needs to be able to move it. It needs to be able to power it and move it. And it's the computer that's pulling that data and sending it where it needs to go.
Okay, I guess we're talking the same thing. I'm telling you, it's the CPU that does all this.
But it's a subsystem. The SSD control unit is a subsystem that is powering the SSD and then pulling the data off of it that it needs.
I guess. I mean, if you want to get lost in the weeds of the minutia of the computer, I'm just saying, you break it down to basics. The CPU is the one that takes the data and it just coaches the shit. And,
I understand, Kevin, but I'm telling you, so the SSD control unit on this is proprietary to make SSD reading as fast as it can be.
And it did a shitty job of it.
Well, I don't know about that. I mean, again, it's loading more and faster.
Like I said, you could do that with a computer.
Wait. It's like somebody carrying 10 bricks and running.
Okay.
10-second, quarter mile. And you're like, okay, they ran a 10-second quarter mile running with 10 bricks. Okay, the second person, they also ran a 10-second quarter mile. What a fucking buster. Oh, turns out he's carrying 30 bricks. It's impressive because it's doing more and it's actually doing more with less time.
I guess. I mean, like you're I don't know. Because I have games on my computer, many of them, right, that do their own thing, right?
Okay, you can't compare it to a computer anymore.
Exactly, but that's what I'm getting at. This is old shit. So the newer shit should be better.
Yeah, no, because by unit, I mean, when you piece it together, it costs more. Not a whole lot more.
Not 10 years ago. No, what I'm saying is I built something 10 years ago, and all I have to do is switch out a video card every like so often, and it still does the same fucking thing because a shit ton of RAM, a CPU that's real monster, and then you just you put your shit on there, and then it just whoop, it's real fast. The only thing you really have to change is the video card, and it processes this shit. I mean, it's just the video card translate the info and all that shit. The CPU, as long as it's beast in the beginning, you're fucking done. You're just done.
There's something else. You keep going back to the computer comparison, and I'll follow you there.
No, because like I don't have a solid state. That's the thing, and so that's a problem on my end.
Okay.
Because
a lot of people don't want to do all that.
Oh no, I hear you. What I'm saying,
you want to buy a console and plug it in, and
no, I get you. That what I'm saying is like the information's out there to make this thing good. And they could have done this 10 years ago, but they didn't. What they did was they followed the model of releasing something simple.
Okay,
that
why
you could
wouldn't
just
they then? But why wouldn't they?
Why would they see? And there you go. And that's the key. I think
This would
that
hurt my head here. I'm like, you're saying they would if they could, but why did? What
yeah,
are they?
that's the thing. That's what I have a theory. I have a theory, and this is what I'm getting at. This is why I brought up the PlayStation 5, because iPhone stopped innovating. It just did. All it had to do was create the name and then make little improvements. And furthermore, to their malice, they even got caught for this. They would make it so that they would slow the phones down. Now that sounds like bro science, right? Why would you slow the older ones down so you would be forced to buy the new ones? Now, they did it so small, like that you wouldn't notice it. Then it got to a point where they had to admit it because they got caught, and they had a prescribed lie. They said, well, the data of the software was so big that we had to slow down the other systems so that they could, and it was all bullshit, debunked by many people because information's everywhere now. And this isn't a niche market. Wait, this is a niche market, but this is a thing where it's not like Trump versus, you know what I mean? Like it's not subjective, right? You know what I mean? Like you got your Republican, Democrat. This is tech. There's not tech people aren't really out to, you know, the nerds on YouTube and shit like that. They're not out to, I don't know, like throw out a lie to get more audience. They just throw out tech because they're nerds, and that's what they do. They explain this shit. So iPhone caught in their own malice that they're making shittier the software, and then they would just only incrementally make something better because they knew that every year all they had to do was tack another number on it with a little bit extra, and people would buy it, and they're right. So rather than getting to the next level of stuff, right, from flip phone to iPhone to beyond, we're stuck because of capitalism. And I'm not saying capitalism is the evil, but it's like there's no kind of regulate, like the airplane tickets, that no one's caught on to this. How do you catch on to, hey, you could do better, but you're not, because you know you're going to sell the product. No one can. That's it. There's nothing you can do.
Something to support your argument. 2 games, Call of Duty and Madden. Those are 2 games. Call of Duty was one that I think, like, Modern Warfare 2 came out, and then it took a couple years for another one to come out. You know, and that whole time they're developing it, they're perfecting it, they're adding stuff to it, and it was I think that was all Infinity Ward back then, and it was a pretty big jump. I mean, the Modern Warfare 2 was awesome. I mean, it did all of the same things that Modern Warfare 1 did, but better, you know, and then with a couple of new things thrown in too. That's a case where between product cycles, they took the time to improve their product and make sure that, you know, all the bugs were sorted out. You are right. This annual thing wasn't a thing before. You know, a new phone would come out when a new phone would come out,
and it would be a big jump.
And it would. But now this annual cycle of new phones, and now annual cycle of new Call of Duties.
And you know what? Not annual cycle, but every 2-3 years you're getting a plus, and then you get the new system. I mean, how long will it, you know what I think though? This shit, I think if you would have let it go, if you would have let this whole process go, it would have been a thing in which it would be every year. But I think that people are getting smarter, or they're getting close. Like the monkeys are getting better at this. So the next step, I believe, is you buy the console, right? And it connects to the internet. It's just the infrastructure needs to get there. So if internet, so you get the console, connects to the internet, and all it needs to do is connect to the internet. So your system itself doesn't have to actually be here. It has to be in Arizona or Antarctica or whatever.
It's
like
cloud computing.
Exactly. And then you would because they're already testing it. You could tell you're streaming games. The physical game is not there. You're streaming it. I played it. PlayStation Now. I played that 3 years ago. It was pretty fucking good. And if you're going forward, the console itself doesn't actually have to be here. You just need a way of playing it You got to have a controller, of course, right? And you have to have some kind of a way to hook up into it. So you got your TV, right? So you would just hook up the internet to the TV, hit the button, and subscribe to your console. That's the key right there. So if they can get you to subscribe to your own console, because they already proved it, PlayStation Plus, it seems like it's going in order. So PlayStation Plus wasn't a thing, right? We were PlayStation 3. We played the fuck out of it. We got addicted to online gaming. Then PlayStation 4 comes on. You gotta pay this fucking subscription. You're like, oh shit, okay. Hold on. Okay, I'm buying it.
The quality went up because gaming on the Xbox is better than on the PlayStation 3.
I feel you. But like when we were playing Destiny and shit like that, we would notice that it would get hacked. There was the 3013, the DOS, you get DOSed or some shit like that, right? And you wouldn't be able to play for like fucking days.
Yeah, denial of service. So
I think it went down for like a month. What was the constant complaint? Why the fuck are we paying money to play an online thing if we can't play it? And that was a constant criticism. But whatever the fuck, right? I digress. They'll hammer those out. I'm thinking the next system, or maybe in the future, like 2 years from now, it will be just subscription based. And like I wonder how far you're going to go with that. You got subscription to the system and subscription to the game.
Well, I don't know if you know, the controller for the PS5
looks like Satita.
Had its own firmware update.
The controller has an update? But what? Why? But why?
Because of all the shit that it does, I guess.
But what does it do? It's a controller.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm guessing it's starting to think now. The adaptive triggers, that was cool. It was doing this thing in Miles Morales where it would when you're shooting your web shooters, it would like you go about halfway down to feel, and then you give it the second little pull to make it shoot the web shooter. So it has feedback. The triggers have feedback, which is I've never felt that in a trigger before.
Yeah, I read about that. I was like, oh, it's pretty cool.
The lights, on it are different colors, and I don't know if there's a little brain in there that's thinking of that too. The DualShock might have had its own little brain in there too, but that's where that maybe that might be headed. They'll just sell you the controller. The controller will be proprietary to hook up to your online console.
And then it would be just a web, like an internet page, like an app because on my TV, when I want to watch Disney, I use my app because it's 4K. I just get it from there. Because when I did on the PlayStation, I wasn't getting the sound, but the app was working out pretty good, except for Disney. Disney was putting out 2.1. Yeah, and I just feel like there's a lot of this happening where they could make better leaps, but they don't. And there's a system in place that's stopping us, that's incentivizing not really doing more because you're making money just because of the ideal of something like the brand place. You're buying a PlayStation 6, right? Because the brand, it's the brand. And you're buying the next iPhone because you're not going to buy iTwack.
I mean, a lot of people buy every phone, right? I didn't need to buy another phone, but I wanted to get one for my grandma. So
if I smashed your fucking phone, what are you going to buy?
Another iPhone.
Exactly. Like
and then a gun.
Wow. Yeah. But like you see what I'm getting at? It became a thing where the brand jumped past like innovation. Cause like, I mean, the cool thing about Steve Jobs is he figured out people long ago. He's like, it doesn't matter what the fuck I make, as long as I make something where people like it. And once they like it, then I could just keep selling it. And that's the fucking genius of that guy. And everyone saw that model and started copying it, and we've got our PlayStations and stuff like that, right? We got our Samsungs, whatever the fuck. But it feels like technology's taken. That's why I fucking think the world's gonna fucking end, honestly, because we just stopped innovating. We just did. Well,
he had an eye for finding things that people didn't know that they wanted yet, and like adding the mouse. To Macintosh.
No, he made
I saw a fucking mouse. I was like, wait, I can do something here and create on the screen, like create.
No, there was mouse
video games.
There was mice before that. There were 2 buttons. He decided to make it 1 button because he understood that people were stupid. They don't care. No, they don't care. And this is a thing he was arguing with his other techs. They're like, why the fuck would you make it so you can't custom? Because if you get, okay, I get a PC, I can do whatever I want with it. I can edit it. It's mine. I can do whatever I want. But they made the Macintosh in a way where you can't do anything. You need a special fucking key, special fucking
it's
tools.
still like that.
Yeah. But he goes, I want one fucking button because they don't fucking care. That was what he's all about. He made it simple so and then he would start giving the computers to poor people. That's why we all played with Macintosh back in the day, is because he would just keep giving it to schools because he knew they were the future. And as soon as he got famous enough, he took over Apple. He was like, hey, look, I'm not coming back unless I have 51%. Like, you've seen what I could do. I can make shit work. Not shit work, but he can make shit. He could sell shit to people. And then then he came back, and then that's how and people saw this and was like, fuck, this is it. And in a capitalistic country, in the world of capitalism,
it's always been a thing. I mean, Ford creates some shitty ass cars sometimes, but they ride the brand.
That's true, but they had to make shit good back then. And he wasn't really smart. He just surrounded himself with smart people. So and he would make good shit. That's what he fucking did. That's what they did with cars back then. In fact, I don't know, man. I don't know. Cars are pretty good, but I think that ship has sailed. I'm just talking about PlayStation right now. Right. It's falling into the rhythm of cell phones. That's what I'm getting at. I'm just saying, when I saw the PlayStation Pro come out, I was like, the fucking primary reason you get a console, because I have both. I have PC and console. And the primary reason you get a console is why? So you don't have to upgrade it. Because that's what you have to do with a PC. You have to upgrade it.
I mean, to be fair, I think it was like 3 or 4 years after PS4 that PS4 Pro came out.
Yeah, but the idea, because you had PlayStation 2, and that was it. You had PlayStation 1, and that was it. You had PlayStation 3, and that was it. The only reason why you bought anything else is because your shit broke, really. But you look at PlayStation 3, like the original. I thought I had one. I have it. I kept it, even though I don't use it. I kept it because if you look at it, it is a beautiful work of art. It has every fucking thing. It has SD, micro SD. It has all these little inputs that nobody fucking uses. They actually made it more like a computer. And that thing is beautiful. It just is. It's big. It's not as big as PlayStation 5 in retrospect, but it's big. It has a bunch of shit. It did a lot of shit. I mean, fuck, it's beautiful. Then you get PlayStation 4 and you're like, this looks like a baby version system. But then guess what? They come up with the Pro. And you're like, it seems like this is what it should have been from the beginning. Because if you compare Pro to PlayStation 3, which never had an update, it didn't have a new thing. That's enough. Fuck. That's your PlayStation 3 to PlayStation 2. Because you see 2 to 3, it's like, what the fuck? 3 to Pro, it's like, whoa. But
I think the HDMI ports were updated. And I want
in the Pro.
Say, yeah.
Of course, because it's 3.0, right?
And yeah.
To do 4K.
No, I think it was 2.0.
I think
it was a 2.0. There is no 3.0. We're at 2.1 right now.
No, I thought it was 3. I thought there's a 3. I'm pretty confident there's a 3. Because I was looking at 4K video cards. Blue. What am I trying to say? What am I saying? HDMI. HDMI. Not porn. No, kidding. 3. Yeah, there you are. 3. What the fuck? There's a shit ton of work. Now they're getting into it now.
Yeah, that's gonna be the next big thing.
No, it seems like I just looked at it. There's a bunch of like ARC web things like that, like extra names to it, and I'm like, ugh. It seems like they just gave up, and they're just like, you know what? This is working too. Let's cash in. Let's just call it the same fucking thing with an extra thing, like quantum. You know what I mean? Like it seems like our society has gone downhill in the sense of technology. Because why build the next thing when you have to just build the name?
It's consumerism.
But that wasn't a thing, though, because you had flip phone and then you had iPhone. And that was like, what the fuck? And you have iPhone 1 to iPhone 4, and it took a while. I mean, it took a while to get there. And it's like, what the fuck? And then it was every year. And they figured it out. They cracked the case. So I see PlayStation 5 and I'm like, this should, they sold, okay, when I bought the PlayStation 4, they sold me on download speed. They said there was 2 little brains and it'll go real fast and it'll download shit real fast. No, that's not what happened. And then so you got PlayStation 5, they fucking got me again. They were like, yeah, man, it'll download real fast. And I was like, oh shit, because I got games and
I
they go
I told
fast.
you, I'm all like, there's always going to be load screens. There's always going to be load times because you tell somebody, hey, we can make this go so much faster. Okay, well then let's start sending more shit through there.
Like if you play Knights of the Old Republic on a PC, it's like that. That's Knights of the Old Republic, by the way. So I'm saying like if you should be able to do that. It should be, if I play a PlayStation 4 game and this is the PlayStation 5, it should be really fast. It should be instant because that already exists. Like if you play,
it does exist. That the technology exists. It's not at the price point that people want.
I bet it is.
They have to try and predict what people are willing to pay.
You know what? The information's out there between us. I'm telling you, they could have done better. They didn't. I'm buying it. That's happening. I'm buying that shit. This is sold out. So, I mean, what the fuck? It's the only thing stopping me, I've been working, so I didn't really notice it when it came out. I was like, fuck. Because I haven't played PlayStation in months because I've been busy. But I'm not going to lie. I mean, fucking PlayStation 5 comes out and I can buy it. Fuck, I'm buying it, dude. It's not like I was like, oh yeah, I'm not buying that shit. I was like, I need to buy it. That's all I need to do. I was gonna
coming out, we'll buy it.
Yeah, it's like if I wanted to buy a fucking new computer, I'll fucking do that. But I don't need to. I'm just saying, my shit's fucking based. I'm just saying, yeah, it just bothers me. It just bothers me that some nincompoop can buy something, plug it into a computer, and then it's better than any fucking PlayStation. You know what I mean? And it's not like it's that big. It just isn't. I feel like they could have fucking just plugged it. I feel like they could have done better, but no one's saying that. So there.
I don't know. I obviously they could do better. There's equations, price points, market share, all that stuff needs to be considered before you go ahead and pull the trigger on something.
But say it's you, right? You own a business and you know that you can release something that let's say it takes $1 million to make, and with $100 you can make something and people will buy it. So what do you do?
Well, I mean, but okay, do you know that people will buy it at that price?
No, not $100. I'm saying like it took $100 to make, because like I'm just saying it's not that much of a different system. It just isn't. I don't know. I'm just saying that from my computer experience.
No, the cool thing is you don't have to buy it. I mean, you could still do everything on the PS4 that you can do on the PS5. You just got to wait a little bit longer.
No, I hear you.
So the only things you're losing are, like 8K possibility, the super high frame rates.
They could go 8K. The PlayStation 5 could go 8K.
Yeah.
Well, that being said, I mean, I don't think you're hearing what I'm saying. I don't think I'm articulating it right. If I can say you are the CEO of Sony, right? And you can make a PlayStation, and you know that if you spent $1 million making the best system, you're going to sell it. But you also know if you spend $100 making a system and same price, you sell it the same price, no matter what, people are going to buy it. What are you going to do?
Well, the problem with that one is you're competing with somebody else, though. And if they're
say you had dinner with that fucking guy, and you're like, you had dinner with the guy, and I'm like, hey, look, bro, I know I can sell a system that's $100 better than the next, and I know you can do that, and I know that by us doing the same thing, because like if you see the specs, that's
possible. I mean, it's possible. I mean, I'm sure there's companies that conspire all the time. Fucking the pharmaceuticals are probably the biggest one.
Oh, well, yeah. Well, let's not go there. That's a dark hole. I could see that happening. In fact, I could see them killing like 30% people dying. We can do that. But like, I'm just saying, like, when it comes to software, if I have a conversation with Xbox and I'm Sony, they're like, hey, look, we could save a ton of money May the best system win, but if we just keep our specs to here, I'm going to write a number and I want your CPU to go around here. You think, you want to do that? And they'd be like, yeah, fuck yeah.
There's a big problem with that, though, is they're not even in the same country. The two businesses are...
The world's different now, Ever.
I understand globalization, blah, 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 but they're still competitive.
You think? Or they want more money? Because there's competitive and then there's, hey.
No, they need to maintain the market share. They're trying to maintain the market share is what it is.
Well, you know what? Hey, it's out there. 55 minutes later, we have sent the ether out there. You people decide. Podcast for We People fans, probably the one or two of you out there, review it. Maybe 100 years from now, they'll fucking come to the conclusion. Because I have to say, my fear is not fuck PlayStation. I don't really care. Is this virus that's hit us that we can't help it. We can make a lot of money doing little. And instead of making leaps and bounds, we don't need to anymore. So where we could be, my thing is I want to go to a Star Trek like level. Communism, apparently. We've just figured that out last podcast that apparently I want communism. I mean, fuck. I never thought about it, but I mean, in reality, it's communism. And I mean, I guess we're never going to get there because a virus has taken hold of us. And only free thinkers will be able to come out of this. We're like, fuck, I can make the next best thing, And hopefully that's a thing, but I don't know.
But I mean, where I would want that advancement is in energy.
Well, I have to say, they have the ability to create, a car that runs off of water, but that's not a thing. Do you know what I mean? Like they did it in the 60s.
Hydrogen?
Yeah, whatever. I mean, just they figured it out. There's a lady, an Asian lady, Korean lady, and I posted on Facebook when I saw it, that she was able to make a battery that could last 500 years. And I was like, that's cool. I mean, with that, I was like, why isn't this a bigger thing? Because if you have a battery that can last 500 years, you pretty much solved the world. I mean, you got a battery that's like 500 years. I mean, like, what the fuck? You've done it. Yeah, you did it. Disappear. Don't even hear. I can't even remember fucking name. I think it was Lamb something Lamb.
Depends on what you're running too. I mean, it could maybe run like a metronome for 500 years, but
oh shit, dude! If you have a battery that lasts 500 years, I mean, like it's newsworthy.
Or something big for 15 minutes.
Yeah, I hear you, right? But then you could make a bigger version of it, right? I mean, like it stands to fucking reason, right? I mean, anything you can make in one way, you can keep making. Because if that wasn't the case, we would never have cars. Oh wow, gas burns. Okay, cool. And then like, oh, gas burns if I keep doing this. You know what I mean? And then just so on and so forth. I mean, I just have a theory that there's a virus inside of us, and this is what the Fermi paradox probably is. You know how like they say, there's so many fucking planets and so many fucking solar systems, and what the fuck? Why aren't we able to see them? We should have been able to see something by now. There's some kind of filter. There has to be a filter that happens, and I think that this is the filter, the thing that makes us go a certain distance from caveman of fire to caveman of maybe more fire. And, instead of beating our women, we treat them with respect. We start moving towards a direction, and then it starts to be like, you know what though, if I, have all the women, then that's a good thing, and greed comes into play, and then we start growing out of greed.
Right.
But then the greed virus, because that has been our motivation, overtakes us, and then we take ourselves out. So the asteroid that comes to hit us, we could have stopped it, but instead of stopping it, we were too busy dicking around making micro improvements when we could have made huge leaps and bounds. iPhone, fucking the next thing and the next thing and the next thing.
That's why we should be investing in energy and in space.
Oh, I agree. I'm just saying, like the technology now that we have isn't moving forward that it should, because of personal interest, self-interest. Like, why would I make the next big thing if I'm making a lot of money doing a little bit?
Well, I think it's more systemic than that. not built into the system, but allowed by the system. Um, you have this. There's a big push against raising taxes against people that make over $400,000 a year. That's only 1.9% of the population. You know,
I hear you.
but enough people have been pleased by that population to think that that's a bad thing. And so really, you're right. We're not making big leaps and jumps because we have these things to numb us in the meantime. But when we start running out of gas and air, you know, we're going to be wondering, okay, where were all those innovations? We weren't investing in it.
And I think you hit at a different angle of the same point, greed. Now, the reason I'm voting for not most people voting for this shit too are poor, by the way. I'm just saying these fucking Republican people are mostly poor. They're going like, hey, I don't want to tax the rich because one day I might be rich. And I don't want to jeopardize that. And like, you're like, bitch, they're fucking looking out for you.
No, there's an argument that it's valid. The reasoning is there that if you tax the rich, they're going to spend less money to invest in jobs, or they're going to take their money elsewhere. Again, that's a dial you got to figure out. How high can you turn up the taxes until you start sending out too many people away from the country? But at the same time, who the fuck has a lot of money and would rather be somewhere else other than in the United States?
And not just that. I mean, like, so you turn your money over to people who have their own self-interest. The closer you get to the burning hot coal, the more you can see it. You know what I mean? So there's you and me, and then there's rich people, and the rich people are closer to the source of the power. And they're seeing the fucking infestation of greed. The thing I'm talking about is they're seeing it. So they're like, oh, fuck, if I give more of my money to this fucking person, it's like throwing in the trash. And they're fucking right. Because why are we can fix this whole police problem of police brutality. But what's happening is we got caught up in talking about other things. You have this oppressive force doing bad things rather than talking about fixing the oppressive force. We're talking about racism and things like that, which is granted valued. But what happens is you've changed. This is what bad guys do. They change the subject. You're like, why is chocolate good? Why is chocolate bad? That's all you have to answer. Now we're talking about prices in Uganda, because if you say chocolate is good, you're like, what about chocolate is good? No, but you don't understand. There's slavery, you see, and you're killing people with COVID. You're like, wait. I thought the question was if chocolate is good, if chocolate was bad. No, you don't understand. See, it's oppressive. See, racism is you're like, wait, what the fuck? I just thought we were talking about chocolate. You know what I mean? Like, that's what we're at right now. We're at a point where instead of talking about an issue and solving it, and which will eventually fix most things, like so you have an oppressive force called the police, right? They're not all bad, but they do have that ability to be bad. And rather than fix that ability to be bad, we're talking about racism. And like, let's stop the racism. Let's stop this thing that if I tortured a racist to not be racist, I don't think that would fix him, let alone pretty words and this and that. So, you know what I mean? Like what's the highest level? Torture, right? Anything below that is just, it's not going to fix him. So if torture isn't going to fix him, what the fuck can we do?
Kill him. That will fix him.
There you go. Kill the racist. You know what? It's funny you should say that. That would work, but we're not going to do that.
But then he's not going to be around anymore.
Exactly. And that's okay. If you rooted out the gene, if you rooted out the racist gene, if you were able to find, see, that's the thing though. We find one gene and we're like, oh, this is what this does. But we don't know how that interacts with the entirety of a being.
No, well, it's taught. There's also a big old part of the subpopulation that's taught that they're poor because a lot of the money that could have been used to help them live a better life was sent to social programs like affirmative action and immigration.
I agree.
And so you're playing on people's propensity to be racist. It's a tribal thing. That's a real thing. We're kind of engineered to be with our village and be with our people, and then to kind of shun the other ones because eventually we might have to fight them over, I don't know, a banana tree or something.
But you know what makes us different from fucking animals and shit, right? Animals do that too. They're like, oh yeah, the long tooth tribe versus this tribe, is that we can create systems. Like, yeah, this flag we're all about. So what we've done, and it's like it's funny because I think this is how demons and gods were created. We created a system which you can't touch or feel, but it's there to do
It's critical
things.
thinking. It's
Yeah,
critical thinking. You know, critical
yeah,
thinking will
okay.
lead you to say, okay, well, we have this problem that occurs. So how do we deal with it? And you design a solution for it. And that all comes out of thinking critically. Now, just like with the PS5, some people don't want to have to think about, oh, what kind of sound card or video card, what matches up with what. Oh, I need to match the voltages on the on my SSD to the SSD control. Oh, fuck it, I'm just gonna buy a console. With this, it's like, hey, we know why your life sucks. We have the solution. Your life sucks because of those people over there. We're gonna take out the laws that give your shit to them, and we're gonna give it back to you, and you will be happy.
I agree,
But
but it
but
seems
that
like it
plays
got. Hmm?
that plays on your more base instinct to get more by doing less, to save energy, you know, and to have a simpler solution rather than a more complex one. Like, hey, okay, let's look at the tax code. Let's see how are we deciding where resources are going and not going. What kind of social programs exist in your neighborhood? Maybe you qualify for the same thing and you just didn't know it because out of pride you thought it was only for brown people, you know. And is there education? Is there you know, what's going on in the schools in your area? There's a lot of different. Fuck it, no, I'd rather just, you know, you're telling me that it's these people's fault. Okay, fucking get them the fuck out of the country, get me my whatever I want. Is they critical thinking takes energy. Critical thinking takes time, and that's why entrepreneurs and people that can invent, you know, that can do the critical thinking for other people, they end up making a lot of money.
You know, I have to say, we strayed off a little bit. But I'm saying is that we created these systems in place where we're like, okay, so if this happens, this group of systems will work and we're good. You know, like for instance, if we were attacked, we're United States, we'll fight you. We created
Yeah, but we don't need
schools.
to think of that. The generals are the ones that can look at the situation,
Yeah,
who's
but we created
attacking us, what direction, and you know, then they can do the thinking that
yeah,
we
no,
don't.
I agree. What you're saying and what I'm saying are two different things. Critical thinking, I get you. But what I'm saying is we created systems in place where they would do things like fight crime, police, fight fires, fire team people, and then fire force,
Firefighters.
firefighters. Jesus Christ, it's because there's so much anime, dude, and they made so
All
much
right.
anime regarding fire people. Fucking Jesus Christ, you know? No. Okay, so you got your fire, you got education, you got your government, and whatever. Okay, so we got these systems in place, right? And rather than fix these systems, we went to some kind of a weird place. So you got this, like the police, like I said, like they have the ability to take you down. And it just so happens that they exert this right mostly on poor people, like black people. And I get that. I understand that. But they also do it with other people as well. Me being a person of color, but like let's just say I'm a white guy, they can oppress me too. They have that ability. Just so happens they don't do it as much, you know, statistically, percentage wise,
Okay.
killing white. They do kill more whites, but that's percentage wise, you know.
Right. Per capita. Right.
Yeah, but they have that ability. So if we would attack that system's ability to do that, then we would fix things. But what happens instead of fixing the problem, we've got caught up in this whole minutia of, yeah, it's racism, it's this, it's that. And yeah, you're right for the most part, but it feels, it's a weird thing because it feels like there's a villainy in play going on.
The okay, so we have systems of law enforcement because not everybody makes the right decision,
Of course,
right?
yes. Yes.
Some people make decisions based on their self-interest, and so we create laws to create fairness. Then we trust people to enforce those laws. that's where the fallacy is.
Mm-hmm.
It's the you're trusting people who inherently, I mean, it's just it's part of our DNA to protect our self-interest.
Yeah, so we should
And
fix
so
that.
they're not always going to make the right decisions.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
People are fallible.
Mm-hmm.
The law is fallible.
Mm-hmm.
The system is fallible, but I would say that the system is probably written very well. You know, I would say that everything's written, you know, in a way that promotes fairness, but you get people that find ways to be more fair to some and less fair to others.
But you can amend that.
And then there's always going to be something, and you're going to amend it over and over and over again.
Exactly.
I'm not saying we shouldn't try, but I'm
go.
saying that the inherent problem is people.
That's true, and that's why you need
communism doesn't work. It's the reason why, you know, we'll never get to a Star Trek, you know, society. I don't think, because people are inherently selfish or racist or whatever.
Dude, if we go Chinese, we will get that shit, or go Russian, we'll get that. We'll get your communism going. We can do this. You know what though? Like I was thinking about Star Trek, right? And I was like, communism and all that. And I thought to myself, what makes their communism good is that it's like there's two rules of thought to make this work. Communism can work, right? That doesn't sound good, but
they're kicking you out of the country now.
I know, but it can work. But before that, you need to get people that are virtuous. See, that's the thing. And then once you get virtuousness in there, and then you can then we could all share, right? I mean, like, because they all have like, hey, you're gonna have this room. Oh, okay. Because
that's where we got lucky, you know, as a country with George Washington and John Adams. George Washington stopped at 2 terms, and then he said, I'm not going to run again. You know, somebody else should run. And so he gave up the power and moved on. John Adams lost, you know, as president, as the incumbent president. He lost. And then it was like, okay, well, this is different. He wanted to keep the power, but was voted out of power. Is he going to give it up? And he did. So, I mean, we got lucky early on because we had virtuous people who said, okay, you know, I have power. I can hang on to it longer if I wanted to, but I'm not going to, because the system is set up for a peaceful transfer of power from one to the other. John Adams lost an election, had power, and was forced to give it up, and did so peacefully. We had virtuous people. Now, did they still allow slavery? Yeah. All those arguments, whatever. You know, society at the time, we are viewing our shit through our lens today of what was going on back then. And luckily, a lot of shit has changed. But again, you have to believe that every law enforcement officer is virtuous and is not lensing their interpretation of the laws through the color of your skin. And that doesn't happen in all situations. Again, because people grow up in systems that are set up to, you know, with political systems that are set up to kind of, especially right now, kind of prey on our tribalism.
I think that the cool thing about America is we go this course and we find shit, we fix it. And that's the cool thing about America, which we kind of stopped. It seems like just like PlayStation 5, we just kind of shelled out the same kind of thing, you know, like, because, okay, check this out. Like I just Googled it. When did the 4-year term stop?
What do you mean?
Okay, so you serve 2 terms, right? And then and that's it. When did that stop? Because feasibly, you know, after 30.
When did that stop?
So, okay, so I think to become president, you have to be 35 or 34. Like you have to, what's the age?
Limit, yeah.
Say you wanted to go 40 years. When did that stop? That you could just feasibly keep voting in the same guy over and over and over. Because that, you know, you got your Biden, and he's been doing it. Yeah. Oh, of course. When did that stop? Like you would think. Yeah, I know. Me either. Because I thought it was like in the 1700s, the 1800s, or 1900s.
It was in the 50s.
Yeah, it's in the 50s. Yeah, 47. Roosevelt was the last guy. It won't, like, 100 years, man. Like not even 100 years, like 50 plus like 20, 70 years. 70 years ago, that's not too long ago. That's a person ago. Like you can have an infinity president. You know what I mean? Like,
Well, Roosevelt was elected 4 times.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, I mean, like, it took a while to get to that because, you got, America had been around for a bit and then they were like, what? Let's stop this. You know what I mean? So things can be amended. It just takes time. And that's what we should do. And so when it comes to cops or whatever, PlayStation, shit, fuck, man. I mean, like, that's the only thing that's going to save us in the end is if somebody comes up with the idea of stopping certain ways of thinking. So the way of thinking is, as long as I vote for you, you should be president. But then they realize, you know what? People just kind of vote, they just kind of just keep going with the same person over and over because it just feels comfortable. Why change? Because that's who we are as people. Like we kind of stick to what we know. We don't like changing, even though we do change.
That's called conservatism.
Exactly. Yeah. So like the police, like everything else, I mean, we need to start seeing what things we need to change and change it.
Well, it's like the the whole thing right now with keeping the names on the army bases or the military bases.
Because some of them are racist.
Not because some of them are racist, but because I would go more base than that. I mean, you can argue, given the time or this or that, but they definitely rebelled against the United States of America. They definitely wanted to split this country in half. They definitely wanted to succeed. So sorry. So why are we celebrating them?
That's tough. That's nuance, don't you think? I mean,
it's not nuance. Well, I mean, there is nuance for people in those towns. Now, this is where the racism comes in, because the whole idea of, wanting to do things your way was because your way was subjugating Black people, and the whole reason for the 3/5 clause, that a Black person's vote counts for 3/5 was
because they're not human.
Well, the South actually wanted each slave to count as a person in the census. But the North was like, no, because you got a shit ton of people, but we're going to count them, but we're not going to enfranchise them with a vote. So what about this? They're counted as a 3/5 of a person. I was like, okay, because then otherwise the South could just buy a shit ton of slaves and say, hey, we should get a bigger voice in Congress because we have a higher population. But then that population doesn't get to vote, So the 3/5 clause was from people that would have rather gotten rid of slavery altogether. It's weird to think about it that way, but it was a necessity at the time. We're not there. We're not in that time anymore. But people still want to celebrate people that wanted to leave the Union, because the idea back then was, why enfranchise Black people?
See, now what you just did there was you did that thing where Republicans do that too, where they say a thing to minimize what they're. I'm pretty confident the person who's like, yeah, let's keep this shit the way it is, the Confederate flag, right? Let's go with Confederate flag. It's easier.
No. I would say those guys are racist.
No. The people, no.
But I'm just saying that it's actually easier. It's an easier argument to make that they wanted to leave the Union. They wanted to
No. With the Confederate flag, this is easier for our audience. Let's go with Confederate flag, okay. Right? So what the left does, and they usually do, is they do, and we talked about this last podcast, is they do this thing where they create a argument that's like easy to digest. You say, yeah, they're fucking racist because they want that. But if you actually talk to somebody who's all about the Confederate flag and to their own ignorance, and I'm not pro Confederate flag, let's just say, it does look pretty fucking cool. I'm not going to lie. But most times when you talk to them, they don't fucking grasp the understanding of that. Like, unless
it's part of their childhood, it's part of their regional pride.
Yeah.
They don't see it for what it originally was.
No, of course not. And so when you say that, where are they going to go? What place do they have? So they have this whole thing that they built up in their own mind, their own ego. I want this Confederate flag because it's grandpa. You've done this before. You've said this conversation. Grandpa taught me this. You tell me the guy who taught me to hunt and track is a fucking racist. You're fucking crazy. Fuck you. Now, but they're not thinking that they're racist, and they're not for all intents and purposes. They can have black friends. It's just that they want this Confederate flag because that's what they know. You know what I mean? And so when you do the thing where you say, hey, yeah, you're fucking racist, in reality, I think to get rid of this Confederate flag notion is information, right? If you have information out there and you're teaching people, generations later, it'd be like, well, I'm not for this. Fuck this. Same thing with
thinking.
I agree. But, it starts with schools and stuff like that. And then over time, right? Like right now, I have a racist mother-in-law, right? Anyways, so I do. Hey, you know what? I've been drinking whiskey. What can I say? JD makes me say the truth. That's what he says. JD says, say the truth. I do. Okay, so look, she used to be blatant because she felt emboldened, like I could say what the fuck I want. Text isn't a thing you can save. Yeah. Like you can't save text, so I'm going to text whatever racist shit I have. She's not even thinking it's racist. It's, God's divine right. So she says shit. It's forever, by the way, but in her head, it's not, and fast forward to now, and she's already like, hey, fuck, I'm not racist. I don't like black people. Wait, no, I mean, some people they're lazy. They're lazy people. But you're just transcribing a word now. Instead of saying they're just black and you don't like them, you're saying they're lazy. You know what I mean? Like that now you get individualized. That person right there, I don't like because they're racist. I mean, because they're what did she say? How did she say it? They're lazy. That's what she said. All right. And I mean, that's what someone said. I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm fucking drunk. They're lazy. They say this person was lazy and that's why they're like that. But, fast forward 10 years, flashback 5-6 years ago in text, it says, I don't want any black people in my family. That kind of bullshit. Right. Yeah. But fast forward to now, it's no, they're just lazy. I just don't like that kind of person, So there is progress. Do you hear me? There's progress with racism in the sense that first it starts out as
that's not progress. They're just hiding it now.
No. Come with me here.
Well, the next generation, I guess, isn't going to get that full volume of
exactly racism. Because the next generation, who I've had conversations with, that are kind of racist. I don't know. There's people I don't know. I'm just saying, there's people I've had conversations with. Let's just say, they know, they recognize in them that what they say is wrong. So they look at you and they say, I want to say the N-word now. I'll say it later. And then they raise their kids as such, and the kids raise, and it just gets milked. Progress is with that,
and that's why I'm pro getting rid of the flag, bringing down some of those monuments. Though there has to be a process. There has to be a process to it, and changing the names of these bases.
I think that with education, through time, if you have 100% of people. Like, why the fuck?
Yeah, but here's the thing: the counter becomes okay. You can educate people. Okay, Robert E. Lee wanted to split the country in half. He fought against the North, with the army of Northern Virginia. Okay, if he's so bad and he, it's such a bad thing to rebel against the nation, why do we have statues of him?
I hear
you. Why do we celebrate him? Why do we have a military base named after him? If he's so bad, why do we have that? And that's a way to convince people that aren't going to critically think, that aren't really going to think, oh yeah, you're right. Okay, I guess he was okay. Because somebody before decided, that it was appropriate. So getting rid of that is part of that education, because it basically starts taking some of the ammunition out of the other side's arguments. That support, racist things or racism within the system.
See, what I agree with some of the things that you say, but I really do think that if you force a narrative, it will not be fixed because if you get people educated within like 2 generations, these fucking people will die. And you'll have 99% of the people being like, why the fuck do we have a Confederate flag? No. You know what I mean? Like, all right, go back in time to Germany.
That flag's been around for a while now.
No, I hear you.
150 years.
It takes time.
I agree. And there's steps that need to happen. And
I agree. If you vote, I agree. If you vote.
Well, they voted. Louisiana voted to change its state flag.
No, but not all fucking all countries, states are voting. You know what I mean?
Right, but that's the first.
They're just tearing them down and burning them, and that's not the right way.
That's wrong. Yeah, no.
Yeah, I agree. No, okay. For instance, like Germany, for instance, they don't even. They're the ones who bore the fucking Nazis. You know what I mean? And then if you go back at the time and we're having this fucking conversation, it's not going to be done. You're not getting rid of those Nazi flags, which is actually a fucking Indian thing.
Yeah, it was like a sign of luck or something like that.
Yeah, or no, divinity. Celtic. Yeah, whatever. But back then that was a thing, and now they have forgotten who they are. They're like, no way we could be like that. That's crazy. That just happened. That was just a thing. And that's the secret of everything. Our ego has taken over to the point where we think we can never do those things again. When in reality, we can very well do that thing again. In a heartbeat. We decided, hey, this group of people, we got to take them out. And that's the way it is. I mean, because we don't know individually 100% across the board that we can always descend to that. We're going to always go to that direction. We can't help it you can't fix a problem until you know it.
Well, the problem is, when one group dehumanizes another.
Exactly.
So in the 30s, it was dehumanizing Jewish people. Today it's dehumanizing immigrants.
You think that, but in reality, it's dehumanizing the fucking white person.
Dehumanizing white people?
Watch this. Go into a fucking room of people and ask them, each one of them, say, make fun of Mexicans. Everyone. Oh, well, it's different because you're California, but I'm in Michigan. Make fun of a Mexican in Michigan. You're not going to get that. A lot of people, even if they don't believe it, are going to be like, oh, I don't know what that. Make fun of a white person. 100,000% you can make fun of a white person, no problem. Even in Michigan.
Okay, there's making fun of people.
No, that's how it starts.
They talk funny.
That's how it starts.
That's not what dehumanizing is.
It is.
No, dehumanizing is saying that you could take away people's rights because of something.
You're wrong. It all started with calling them rats.
Yes, and then you start taking it next level. That's racist, but that's not.
It takes time. It takes time.
No, actually, that's literally dehumanizing, calling them rats.
Exactly. Exactly.
But I don't see. I mean, making fun of people, but it's not making fun of people to control them.
It all starts out with making fun of people and getting away with it. And then
I don't know if there's any dehumanization of white people going on.
So when we were making fun of black people 30 years ago or 100 years ago, that wasn't dehumanizing. But right now, with the eye of time, that's dehumanizing. But back then, it was normal. In fact, it was so normal. You know what's funny is
it was dehumanizing then. It's like,
but it was normal.
Yeah, it was normal. It was accepted.
It becomes normal and accepted, and then it grows from there. Now, I tell you this: you can make fun of white people. You cannot make fun of black people at all. And how that has changed? Go right now, make fun of black person. Let's see how quick you get fired. Right now, go make fun of a white person. Let's see how far you get.
I think that's I think it's backwards.
I'm right though.
I'm agreeing with you. But I don't think it's because of a dehumanization of white people instead of black. I think it's
that's how it starts.
I think it's a hyper reaction.
It is and it isn't.
Trying to get rid of racism. Really, we should be able to kind of poke fun at each other's foibles.
We should.
If we're willing to poke fun at our own. Now, making fun of foibles is one thing, but saying that you're better than somebody else or denying them civil rights because of those foibles, that's next level. And you're right, one is a gateway drug to the next, but
it is. And like it is, and it is, and it is. Like, for instance, affirmative action, right? That is by definition racist towards the other people. It just is. So we don't have enough black people. We just, skip a couple of white people here, put black people in. And like, it's funny because I'm not even white, but I could see it. I could see the baby steps towards it, in the sense that this is how it started. It didn't start with like, okay, for instance, Hitler wasn't like unpopular. He was popular. And that's how he was able to do the things that he did. So it isn't a thing in which you're like, oh, fuck, I hate this guy. It's, well, I love this guy. He's the best. He says the best things. He makes fun of the right people. Good guy. And then, oh, well, that's what we're doing, putting these bad people in prison? Fuck yes. That's where we're at right now. And it's like we haven't learned a lesson, Instead of like saying, hey, you know what?
I think half of us haven't learned the lesson.
In what way?
I'm saying about 71 million people didn't learn the lesson.
You talking about the people who voted for Trump?
Yeah.
Now, like, hear what you're saying. I'm saying, like, it's shifting over to a popularity thing. And then whenever something is popular, that's when the evil starts taking root. Hitler, like I said, wasn't unpopular. He was popular.
He was popular.
And he hated a group of people. And people were galvanized by that and hated said people. It all started with like bad remarks here. They do this, they do that. Now you got white people.
But I think so when Obama was elected, the thing was, well, we couldn't really make fun of him because it was going to be perceived as racist. But really, on merits or whatever, he was wrong for whatever reasons, right? Ideologically. But with Biden, you didn't have that. The other side could have opened up both barrels on him, and they tried, but there was no there. And Biden didn't get elected by promoting hate or by singling out a group. He singled out an ideology. He singled out a way of doing things. He singled out a way of thinking. And was elected by almost 6 million votes.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm saying, like, half of us didn't learn that lesson, that, like you're saying, just because somebody's popular doesn't mean that they're the right person to lead a nation, or that, that they have all the best ideas. Somebody can be popular, and somebody can be popular playing to our most base instincts. Winning is a thing. Why are there bandwagoners? When the Chargers are good, there's all kinds of Charger fans out. When the Chargers are bad, there's no fucking Charger fans out. And it's the same thing. It's become the same thing in politics, when it wasn't that before. Before it was, hey, we're putting our faith and our values, we're pouring that into this person to represent us in government. Now it's just, hey, that guy, he says he's on our team, so let's root for that guy. If he wins, then great. Hey, I voted for that guy, so fuck everybody else. We're winners. When is that a thing? When did that start to become a thing? And again, I think late 90s, with the tribalism starting. There's a really good documentary. I want to say it was on HBO, that kind of tied the Gore Bush election to the Elian Gonzalez kid.
Was it called Swing Vote, or?
That's a movie.
No. That's a Kevin Costner movie, but there was also a documentary.
587. I think it's called 587. It's the number of votes by which George Bush was elected president in Florida. There
is a documentary, not Swing Vote, with Kevin Costner or Greg Kinnear or whatever the fuck that guy was.
Yeah.
I think there's a documentary. What the fuck ever. Hey, look, what did Hitler hate? He hated, who do you think was the perfect fucking person? He was like blonde hair, blue eyes, right?
Yeah.
But he wasn't.
Right.
who do you think the next fucking person Hitler will be? He'll be the person who says, "Hey, yeah, I fucking hate these fucking people," and he will not be that person. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know where the fuck I was going with it, but
okay, yeah, you're kind of right. So okay, so Trump was saying, that that hate's a strong word, right? But he was going to oppose the liberal elites, right?
yeah,
That he those people, those millionaires that all they do is make money and this and that, and they don't help anybody else. He was going to break that system, right? The bureaucrats that are working behind the scenes to try and usurp power. He was going to go in there and break up that, right? He was
yeah.
going to drain out the
He
swamp.
was gonna end the war.
He ended up being that. I mean, to say Trump is a self-made man, it's stupid. That's not a thing.
Yeah,
You
I
know,
agree.
he was born rich. He was a millionaire in his teens by no skill or work or struggle of his own.
But he became a something though, because like, who's Trump's dad?
He
What's his
became a
name?
brand. He became
Yeah,
a brand.
but
Same thing. It's like
what's Trump's dad's name?
Paris Hilton or Kim Kardashian. They just they got famous for being famous because they were able to play on
No,
the entertainment factor.
No, Trump is famous because it's Trump. Because who's his dad? What's
Again,
his?
famous for being famous.
Yeah, no, I get you. Famous gave him the fucking avenue, but who's Tom Hanks's kid? Yeah,
Colin Hanks.
I don't know about that, but what I'm saying
His
is
name's
Tom
Colin
Hanks's kid. Tom Hanks's kid isn't going to be famous. It's just she's not.
He's kind of famous.
No, there's the rapper. No, that's funny. No, there's a she. There's a female too.
Oh, okay.
No, but what I'm saying exactly. You're proving my point. Tom Hanks has kids. They're not going to be famous more than Tom Hanks. They're just not. The same thing with Trump's dad. The guy is famous. Is he? I don't know his name. But Trump, what?
Fred Trump.
Whatever the fuck. I can go and grab a person off the street, like, who's Donald Trump, with a fucking gun to their head and say, who's Donald Trump's dad? They won't.
No, but they know Donald Trump. Like, you're actually proving my point. I mean, like I said, he created a brand.
But before him,
there's
nothing. But before him, there was nothing. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't like his dad. You know what I mean? You only know Donald Trump. Can you even picture Donald Trump's dad in your mind? You can't. Same thing with Tom Hanks. There's Tom, whatever the fuck. Tom, people are hearing me and they know what I'm talking about.
I know.
Tom Hanks is out there and he has kids. Nobody knows who those kids are, and nobody knows who Tom Hanks' dad is. Famous is famous. And what I'm saying here is that, you know what's funny? Okay, I don't want to stray off like this, but Tom Hanks' daughter wants to be a porn star, and she's in porn. And I have to say, I mean, here you got a guy who came from nothing, right? Tom Hanks came from nothing. That's why I like him so much. And you did all this shit, and your daughter fucking does porn. You know what I mean? Like
a fucking nightmare.
What a fucking nightmare that is, right? Like, you felt it necessary to defile yourself in this way. You know what I mean? Like, how do you have? I've seen him talk, and as I see him talk like a normal person talking with other people, I think to myself, I was like, you know what I mean? Like, because if I have a kid, right? And if he did some porn, gay porn, it's gay porn. Let's go there. I would feel tremendously sad. I mean, that's true. That's from the heart. And if I had a daughter, I would feel tremendously sad. So, Tom Hanks, man, what the fuck, guy? I mean, damn, dude. Damn.
I don't know. You think maybe she's doing it to rebel against his image?
I mean, what a way to rebel, right?
Yeah.
Right. I mean, DP is a real thing, so like, I mean, who's rebelling? I mean, I guess you're hurting him. I mean, fuck, but you're getting it in. I don't know, man. 12 inches hurt. What can I say? I don't know. I just.
You do know that it hurts, or you don't know that it hurts?
Hey, shit, I was in the Navy. Who knows? Who fucking knows? Now, hey, look, let's stray. We're straying off. talking about this shit. We're going nowhere. I wanted to get to the next topic. I was called a faggot.
By who?
Because I have long hair. That's why. No, I'm joking. So I am in Michigan. Okay, so I've been a medical assistant and X-ray tech for 10 fucking years, right? And in California, no matter how busy, I've been through swine flu, let's just say. I had people calling me and shit and saying, hey, I need this, I need that. But never once have I been called something as base as faggot. You know what I mean? Like, it's not, we don't even call each other that. You know what I mean? Like, we say some fucking foul shit to each other because we're bros. It's me, you, Adrian, fuck Chato, all of them. We don't fucking say shit. I know, Adrian, whatever. But like,
yeah. I don't. Okay, so it was a stranger.
Yeah. So what's happening is people are calling. Okay, so COVID, it's weird. It's like it's a pandemic or something, and like there's hundreds of people getting tested. So I'm testing hundreds of people, right? So we have to tell them, the results. It's a lot of people, so it takes time. So believe it or not, after a while, it gets backed up. So when we tell you 3 to 5 days to your results, and it's 6 days, fuck, it's like hundreds of people you're telling, right? So it takes time. So what's happening is I get hundreds of people calling in, right? Where's my fucking results? I said, we call you as soon as we have the results. We don't have the results. Out of 100 people, 10 of them are assholes. So every day I'm getting inundated with people saying like, fuck you, you're a piece of shit. Why aren't you telling me I'm fucking shit? I mean, like, I'm not making this shit up. This is real. This is a fucking real thing. Like, I'm not even exaggerating. That's the sad part. They're like, hey, wait, you said it was 3 to 5 days. It's day 6. I don't have my results. I explained to them, it's a pandemic. Duh. Yeah. But like, I go, it's a pandemic. We're calling people as much as we can as we're testing people. So there's, in between testing people, we're calling you. I mean, this is realistically, fundamentally, it's not enough time, and then we're getting the results, we're calling you. So we're hundreds in. And they're like, fuck you, you're a piece of shit, and you're just like, okay. And they hang up. And it got to a point where just the other day, someone called me faggot. And I was like, what the fuck is wrong with Michigan? Like I was like, I've called people in pandemics before. And it's never been a thing in California. And when I come to Michigan, people are like, you're a fucking asshole for not telling me my results. I'm like, I am doing the best I can. And meanwhile, as I'm talking to a person on the phone, there's 5 fucking people waiting for me to check them in. There's people outside in cars waiting to get tested. And I'm like, I'm trying to do the best I can. And I talk to them, and you know me, because I'm a talker. I'll level with you. I'm like, look, it's a pandemic. It's a lot of people. I mean, fuck, I am trying. And they're like, fuck you. You're a piece of shit. They hang up. And then I'm like, oh my God. And every day I'm getting like fucking slammed by somebody. Now, know this, out of 100 people, one person's really not going to be the Debbie Downer, but it's getting every day, man.
It's heavy. It's heavy.
It's heavy.
It's like when we were talking about, like when you notice, we're talking about traffic, right? And I was talking about how, people treat me differently in one car than they do in the other.
Like, yeah.
Like people are less to cut me off in my Ricer car than in my sedan, right?
Yeah.
And then people will cut me off and they'll do whatever because you can pretty much guess that I'm going to be at my speed and I'm not going to make any sudden moves. But then they see my FRS, lowered with exhaust and tinted windows and, like fuckboy car, right? I don't know. People don't fuck with me in that car. But you do notice, and I'm not saying everybody, like when I was driving the Altima, it's not like everybody was treating me like shit, but 30-minute drive, you notice when one person cuts you off, they ruin the whole fucking commute for you.
Yes.
How was your drive? It was fucking terrible. This asshole cut me off. But you're not acknowledging the other 2,000 people you drove past who treated you with respect, gave you your lane, gave you your space, and didn't try to run you off the road. But yeah, it wears on you, man. It wears on you. So yeah, you could have called 1,000 people and 10 of them were assholes, but that wears on you. And the same thing in the classroom. You could have a classroom. I've had classrooms with like 42 kids. Fucking shit you not. 42 kids. if you have two of them that are creating issues, they feel like another 15 kids in the classroom. It's just, and teachers start stressing out, and they start complaining about their students, but they're not acknowledging all the other students that are doing great things in their classroom.
Yes.
They're focusing on the ones that are giving them challenges. Today, and I don't know, today, so I was parking, and I'm like an overhead view of the parking lot, right? So there's a car here, and I want to park here. Okay, I want to park in this space. So I pull in, and I can't do a U-turn into the spot. So I come in, and then I get not too close to this car, but my plan is, pull in and do this. Well, I didn't, I swear I was maybe like 5 yards away. I was still a fucking, like, no, what is this? 3 yards. Okay. I was 3 yards away from this dude. He's getting out of his Jeep or whatever. And so I come in and I do this to like back my car in, and he turns and he sees me. He's like, what? Like that. And I was
what?
Like, yeah. He was like, what? And I was like, it's like, fuck, dude, you're not that important to my life. I didn't say nothing. I just kept parking. I had my sunglasses on, so I pretended like I didn't see him. And then I parked, and then I got out, and I walked into the place. And hopefully in my head, in my head, this is what I'm thinking. I'm thinking, hopefully the guy's thinking like, oh, I fucking probably look like an idiot right now, thinking like I wanted something, and really he was just parking his car. This shit, I mean, there's just people out there that are crazy, man, and they can only justify or rationalize their shitty decisions or their shitty lot in life by being pissed at other people, and unfortunately for you, you're on the phone, you have a job, it's probably, I'm sure they're assuming it's, a well-paying job or whatever, and they're not there, or they're waiting on this test so they can go to work, or so they can go hug their grandma.
That's what it is. That's what it is.
And so they're going through all this shit, and they hear you, and you're trying to be calm, right? You're trying to be calm and whatnot, and they're like, this motherfucker is calm as fuck, man. He's probably like in his fucking 5-bedroom house, fucking sipping champagne and shit like that, and here I am fucking waiting for blah blah blah. I don't know.
That's true. No,
how many bedrooms you got?
It's 4.
Oh, fuck you.
So when you said that shit, I was like, shit.
You know what?
I never thought of it like that. You said
that. But people, I mean, they're angry. You're the bearer.
I get it.
But you're right though. You can know this and understand all this. It doesn't make it a whole lot easier.
Like I don't understand is like these base fucking words. What I'm saying is like I'm used to people being shitty, like as in like.
Well,
this
was base too. I mean, the dude turned, squared up, and threw his hands up. And was like, "What?"
No, I know, but
like if I'd have gotten out of the car and said something, we probably would have thrown hands.
The shit that dude, I've seen you fucking get after it. So like, let's be real. Like of our team, we good, but. We are the ones who are gonna get killed because we're gonna fucking murder somebody. Like of all of us, like of our team, like of our people or friends. I mean, fuck it, every one of us, we're minefields. I mean, we're just like, it doesnn't matter who you are. We're just gonna explode on you. We're waiting for that. We're trying not to. We're trying to be better people. We just are.
I think everybody's got a trigger.
Exactly. Yeah. But what I'm saying is, okay, so for instance, like we're like on our text thread. If anyone ever found that shit, we get fucking arrested, because the shit we say to each other. But like, I mean, we don't say certain things though. Like we just don't. And so when I hear, like when someone says you're a piece of shit, I'm like, cool, whatever. I don't care. But when someone says something as base as faggot, like that's like a word. I don't like. It's bad. It's so bad. Like if I said it out there, I'd be bad. I'll get arrested or some shit's gonna go down. But like, we don't even say that to each other. We just don't. We say some hard shit, like let's just say. But like, I hear this shit on my end. I'm like, what the fuck is with Michigan? Like,
You're right. It is next level. You know,
it's weird.
it's like if he would have. It's like if he would, and it's like if he would have said, "You're shut up, you Asian," or "Shut up, you Mexican," or "Shut up, you Republican." You know, it's casting that set of people in it's trying to cast them in a negative light. It's trying to say that they're bad people. You're a bad person for, you know, not telling me my COVID test results. That must mean that you like it in the ass, and people that like it in the ass are bad people, and you don't want to be those people. So I'm going to call you that.
Yeah, like if he would have called me like a baby head fucker, I would have been like, "Oh shit, that's fucking hard."
Well, those are bad people, you know, baby.
But he calls me a faggot, and for some reason, like I was just like, man, if you would have called me bitch, baby head fucker, something, dead baby,
a piece of shit, those are bad things.
Yeah, but like, faggot, I was just like, what is this? Like the 90s? Like
it is more base.
It's so weak, and like. And like, I feel weird in the way it's because people have called me dick, asshole, piece of shit, things like that. I didn't have anything for him in the tank, but this guy called me a faggot. This one guy actually it was a woman. She said that, and I was like, you know, like I was like, what the fuck? Hundreds of people have called me pieces of shit, asshole, dick, something, and I'm like, whatever. But for some reason, I took umbrage with this. I was just like, who says that anymore? Like, it was like as if a baby cursed at me or something like that. And I was doubly insulted. I don't know. We don't even use that language. You know what I mean? Like, we literally don't use that.
Well, we say gross, evil, disgusting things to each other, but I would put calling somebody a faggot on the same plane as like being racist or something, you know,
something like maybe like
we're not like that with each other.
Yeah, we're not
like that with each other.
But we're foul though. Like the shit we say to each other. Like if someone would have read that in a text or something like a Facebook post, we're gone, dude. We're canceled. We're fucking gone, dude. No, like seriously, I've looked at her. No, our shit's bad, dude. It's bad. No. But like, granted. But when someone called me faggot, and I'm like, wait, what? And I'm thinking to myself, you're not at our level because we're fucked up. We're good at it. We're like, we build on it. We build on bad work
without being hateful.
Well, not
without resorting to
that. Of fucking course, though. Yeah. But we're good at it though. We're really good at really shitting on each other and very like if the shit you were to say to me, you would have said to somebody else, they'd kill themselves. But like, I mean, and vice versa. Like I really got Adrian pretty fucking good a couple times. And you know what he did? He came back at me. Wasn't as good as my shit. But I mean, he came back and I was good with that. But we would never call each other something as weak as like fag. Like that's not even I mean, it's weak, and like I don't even know what I'm trying to get
at. Coming from a woman, that actually has that's got a little bit more that's more designed to hurt. That means that she calls guys that, you know, because in a place, you know, where it's mostly Republicans.
Yeah. Well, I don't know.
Well, you know, mostly straight white. You know.
Okay.
You know, it's a hard insult, you know, to attack a man's masculinity, you know, and for it to come from a woman, it's like, you know, fuck you, you're no kind of man, fuck you, faggot, you know.
I wish
it to her, and I'm sure to the guys that she said it to, because they're like her, probably they bite. It bites, you know? Because she's assaulting something and calling them a faggot. It's like, I'm no faggot, I don't like it in the ass. Those people are fucking gross. Yeah. It's like, you know,
you're right.
In their mind, it's probably one of the worst things you could be called.
Yeah, I didn't think about that until you said that. You're right, because like when she said that, I was like, I fucking wish. Honestly,
weaponized it, dude. It's weaponized.
She said that, and I was like, I laughed at her. That's the first thing I fucking did was laugh. And I was laughing. I was like, fuck, I wish, right? I wish I'd said that. I wish. But cause like, I mean, to be gay as a dude, like woman, whatever on women being gay, men being gay is the best. I mean, that is the fucking best. If you
Okay.
if you don't think that's the best, you're not doing it right. Because honestly, you're like, fuck it. I want. It's like you walk into a club and you're like, let's fuck. No, okay. Let's fuck. No, okay. Let's fuck. Okay, let's go. And then you do it. I mean, like you.
They might beg to differ. That was
I don't
probably
know.
the culture back in the day.
I don't know, man. Fucking, you have unrestrained. Think about it. You're a dude. You're with another dude. And you have no there's no taboo. There's no fucking taboo. Let's do this. Okay. I mean, like, as a guy, if your fucking woman says, let's do this, guess what? You're doing it. I mean, like, shit. I mean, when the woman says, hey, let's do this, let's do that, let's get a swing, let's do that, let's get a robot, let's get a second partner, you're all about it. Except for, like, if they want it, if you're straight and they say, I want another dude, even then, maybe. But I mean, but so you're with another guy and he's like you. I don't know. I mean, me personally as a dude, I'm like, fuck, that sounds like a great deal. It just, you're either wired that way or you're not. That's just the way it is. It just
Okay,
is.
so I get what you're saying. I
You know
got
what
it.
I mean? Like, you're,
Yeah. The options and the openness that you can have is different.
it is. It is. And because, okay, and this is a, if it wasn't for the fact that women aren't down for every fucking thing that I'm down for, then I would just, everything would taste like water. Let's just say. Because, I mean, you're just going to keep one-upping the next thing. But because women aren't always down for the fucking things that you're down for, not everything. Like, seriously, you can go meat and potatoes for a long time. And then you're like, what's that salt? You know what I mean? So, like, when you're with a girl, hey, let's do it this one position, let's do it this other position, let's do it this way. This can go for a while. But if you kept saying, yes, let's do this, yes, let's do that, eventually you're gonna get to a road where, like, what's with the mustard? What's with the dog? What's with this chain? You know, like, I mean, like, it's just gonna grow because our appetites are so infinite. Meanwhile, I would think that women are more finite, only because, let's say, I've done some things and literally, like, I mean, eventually you're gonna get a no. You know? So, I mean, the no really does stop you and you're just good with whatever you got, you know? So, like, over time, no then eventually turns into a yes. And then you're like, yeah. And then you're like, yeah, this is good. And then, you know, it takes a while to get to these levels. But with guys, I mean, if you get a no, you can't just move on to the next guy. I mean, it's just easier. I don't know. Me personally, as a dude, that's what I'm saying. So when she said that, I was like, fuck, I fucking wish, man. It'd be the best fucking thing on earth. It's just that I just don't work that way. I mean, like, seriously, it just does. You either work one way or you don't.
Well, which one of our friends do you think could give us the gay perspective?
Let me think. I don't know. It's the one who keeps going, who keeps getting the yes. And none of us are getting that. I mean, I hate to say it, but as far and egotistical as you can get, yes is eventually gonna stop. But if you keep getting yeses, I can see conceivably a no eventually. Like, not no. I mean, if you keep getting yeses, I can eventually see you go in that direction. But no one's getting that. I mean, we're limited by the things that we have.
Right.
Yeah. So when you're with your woman, no matter who it is, if they keep saying yes, and they're eventually going to go to a direction, you're like, what the fuck? How did I get here? You know? And that's why it's a good thing to always, I don't know, pace yourself, you know? Don't always have that chocolate cake. You know? No, yeah. I mean, like we're humans. We're very finite. I mean, I like chocolate cake, but let's be realistic. I only eat it once a year. I mean, seriously, for me. But if I okay, for instance, I like spicy.
I got you, dude. I got you. I got my Porsche and I got my FRS. You know, and one of them will go 160. I've done 150.
Yeah.
And it wanted to keep going, but I was like, no mas. Not because it was like losing control, but more because I realized I was going 150, and this was in Mexico, by the way.
I was about to say 150 is pretty intense because I went to 150 one time and I was like, I'm done.
Well, it was just knowing. It was seeing the speedo saying that, and I was just like, this is nuts. And then deciding I'm going to back it off, you know. I drive the FRS, and when I get back in the Porsche, it's a treat. You know, if I was just all Porsche all the time, it would lose its Porscheness.
You got it. You fucking got it. You got it.
And when I get back in the FRS, it's a sports car, light. You know, I still enjoy driving it, but the Cayman is that car on steroids, and it's just
that's because you have
special, dude. I get in the car, you know, I'd gotten it down about once a week, and when I get in the car, my chest starts going, you know, because you know I'm excited, not excited, but you know, excited.
It's a different thing.
Yeah.
It's more powerful.
I get what you're saying. You know,
I think an erection is different from power. Like power is everything, because an erection is one thing and it's for one thing, but for power, it could be anything really. You play in a video game, anything. Driving is very addictive. And I have to say, the only thing that makes you wise is the fact that you understand it. And the fact that if you were rich, though, that might escape you, because you get into the Porsche that you're in and you're like, fuck, this is good, but you know, better. Then you have the means to do it. So it's the wisdom that keeps you down to say, hey, look, let's not drive the Porsche as much. Let's drive this other car, you know? And that's with everything. That's with everything. You're like, fuck, if I introduce another person into this relationship, then what's the next thing? You know what I mean? But if I'm rich, that's not an equation. I'm like, I can
go back from that.
Exactly. And then I don't want to get to a point where you're just like, shit, I got 6 chicks. I got this chick. I got this. I got that. No, time for dudes. You know what I mean? Like, eventually you're going to get there. Yeah. But because where we're at, we're not like poor necessarily, but we are. And we're like, okay, fuck, I get it. If I do this, if I keep going to Ruth's Chris, you know, it's going to be rough to cook a steak for myself. You know what I mean? It's going to be rough to eat at another place because I'm so used to this. So if I was rich, I just keep going and going and going to the point where I'm like eating weird shit. Fish off a fucking female or something.
I don't know if it's nature or nurture or what. I was at work, and I was actually at the school, and we had a group of students in this big room, right? But it's got these big garage doors, so we got like air and all that stuff. And I'm wearing my mask, and we got plastic dividers and all that stuff. And I decided to sit down, kind of facing one of the big garage doors, and I could see the back of one of our buildings, and it just looked. It was weird because I'm inside the building and it looks dark because the garage door is bright as fuck, and I'm just kind of looking out, and it was early in the morning, so the shadow kind of like at an angle, and the sunlight was that sepia, and I was just stopped and just kind of just enjoying it, you know?
Yeah.
I think if you're able to be in the moment and appreciate where you're at and what you can do and what you have, then all of a sudden, shit, the FRS is probably enough. I don't need the Porsche. You know, I think that's why I enjoy driving my FRS.
I think.
But then I get in the Porsche and it's like, oh shit, this is next. You know, but it's important to go back too.
I think that with age that comes into play, but I can guarantee you, if I gave you $1 billion, you would drive the Porsche, and then you'd be like, "What's the next thing?" And the next, it just go that direction, and then vice versa.
Yeah, rocket pack.
But if as you get older, you can, like, as 20s, that's not gonna happen. You're gonna fucking kill yourself. Where you're at now, you're a little bit wiser. You know, I can see that in you. And I mean, as you get older, you know, and that's just the way it is. I think that we're at this age where we have enough money to feel the good things and understand the bad things. And that's why we are here to educate, not the students. I mean, yes, you have the thing that I wanted when I started this whole experience of life out. I wanted to teach kids too. It's my thing too. But it just didn't work out. But you and me are the same in the sense that here we are. Millions of people could see what we're talking about. Millions of people. We're reaching millions now. All we lack is the accessibility in the sense that, people need to know us, but we're doing the thing that we always wanted to do since we were kids. We wanted to educate, like, I mean, that's just the way it is. And now we're not educating people on like, polynomials and graphics and things like that.
Conversation, critical thinking again,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
thinking for yourself.
The real reality of things, like thinking for yourself. That's the biggest fucking thing. If I could die now and teach this, thinking for yourself, I've done it. I've done everything I wanted to do. And then that's the reason I'm here, is because this is it. It's not happening. Obviously we're talking to people. We know when I'm talking to a person at McDonald's or whatever, that person's not thinking for themselves. I could tell. You could tell when there's embers of light in people, of I do think for myself. I mean, you could always tell when people are kind of on the bandwagon, as you said earlier. You're just kind of following along the wave. You're not thinking for yourself. You're just saying things. You know what I mean? And this is the purpose of the podcast into itself is, hey, we're on YouTube, we're on the Spotify, we're everywhere. We want people to think for themselves, and that is what we are. We are educators at heart and spirit and soul. That's who we are to the end of the earth, And that's why I say, like, the Porsche, you get it. You're poor just enough to be understanding of, if I had a Porsche and I had the ability to buy another Porsche, I would.
Yeah.
And so on and so forth. I mean, I'm telling you, I mean, Porsche is the truth, like, I mean, it's the fucking truth, like the Porsche you guys good, but
yeah, go GT4.
Exactly. Fucking exactly.
918.
Yeah. And like so forth. And me too. Like there's a thing. And when I'm driving and I hit a turn that could kill me, I'm like, man, I wish I had a different car. When you do those, you have what is it? K1 speed. When you do that and you fucking go for broke, I know you want to break everything. You want to, because it's not yours. You can do whatever the fuck you want. You want to run that shit into the fucking ground if you can. You know what I mean? Because it's power. That's where it all comes to. It's power. And the realization of that power is everything. So if we could teach people to say, hey, this energy that's inside of you can be harnessed. You can use it to things, but don't let it destroy you. Because I tell you what, if I gave you $1 billion at 20, it would have destroyed you.
That's why that girl called you that.
To teach me a lesson?
That girl called you that. The relationship over the phone, it's that go-kart that you don't give a fuck about. And she'd go ahead and just unleash and unload on this person on the other end of the phone, because you're only there to talk to her and deliver her that little bit of bad news. And guess what? Her life sucks and she needs to take it out on somebody, and she's not going to take it out on other people that she knows and cares about. So she'll take it out on somebody that she doesn't care about.
It's true. It's so true. It's so true. Because like they want their COVID test so they can work. The only reason they get the test is because their work won't let them back in, which is weird, but it's there. And I get it, and their life sucks so bad that you need to work.
So I called a parent today. And so part of my job is calling and kind of just, checking up on people that have said that they're having issues logging in. Some I suspect it's not so much issues as they just don't understand the system, or they're so overwhelmed they're just not taking the time to figure it out because they got a bunch of shit going on, right?
Been there, done that.
This one student hadn't been logging into her first class, and so today I called about 2 minutes before the class started, and I think I woke the parent up at 9:00 in the morning. Woke the parent up. Maybe they work late, right? I don't know.
Yeah.
And woke the parent up, and then but the parent's been getting calls that the student's been absent. So you think the parent would just set an alarm and say, you know what? If I have to set an alarm to tell you to get into class, it's your ass, that wasn't happening here. I don't know, because the kid just hasn't been showing up. So then I said, hey, just calling to see that, your student was able to get in, because I understand that you were having some technical difficulties. Bullshit, right? I know the kid just hasn't been wanting to go to class. But I'm being tactful. I'm presenting it in a way to kind of give them an out, right? And she took it. She said, "Oh yeah, let me go remind her and see if she was able to get in." She go, "What time does class start?" I go, "Now." And she goes, 9 o'clock. I go, "Yeah, 9." Just like it has since August, is what I'm thinking in my head. And so she said, "Okay, I'll go tell her to get on right now." And then she hung up. No, thank you for calling to check or none of that stuff. Another one at that group, one student didn't come because his parent had punished him. I guess he did something wrong in the home, so she took his TV, and the student said, "Well, you took my TV, so I'm not going to school." And so, a lot of this, it's just everybody is trying to exert power where they can because they feel so powerless otherwise.
Yeah.
The people that voted for Trump feel powerless right now, and they don't like that feeling. They've been in power for the past 4 years because their team was winning,
Yeah.
And that empowered them somehow. It made whatever rough times they were going through better because their team was winning, you know. Now their team is losing, and that was kind of all that they had to hold on to, and they feel this powerlessness, and so they're getting angry, and they're resorting to things that they wouldn't have otherwise. There's this lawyer who's trying to throw out votes in Michigan, which would include his own vote. Oh no, Wisconsin, which would include his own votes. He's saying, those early in-person votes should not be counted. Well, it turns out he voted early and in person. So he's arguing that his own vote should be kicked out. People are resorting to things that they don't usually do.
Which is weird because what the fuck are you going to do?
Well, I mean, what you should do is understand that this is something that you could control. You voted. And unfortunately, there's more people that have this other idea for this one position, right? Because you still have the senators, you still have Congress, you still have judges, you still have all kinds of other shit.
And reality wise, if you understand government, the Republicans took over quite a bit. With yeah, Bella's like, fuck it, I agree with everything. No, like it's like with if you understand government, the Republicans took a lot from this election, but because you wanted the big prize, the easier prize to understand, and you lost it, you're like, yeah. And people are angry for reasons they can't even understand, but they don't realize that they won quite a bit. So if they wanted things, they'll get what they want. Biden is one path, but he might not get anything done. And because the Republicans took over so much, and
they got back some seats in the House. They might have lost a couple seats in the Senate, even
in Supreme Court too. I mean, they fucking got quite a bit. Like, I mean, like if you really gave a shit about politics and government, you would, as a Republican, you're like, yes. But a lot of these Republicans who are Republicans, they just care about the one thing that their brains can quantify. Ooh, what's the presidency? And yeah, I mean, yeah, it's cool. That was never a position to be even argued or fought over. It just isn't. This is one part of a bigger thing. You know what I mean? Like if you understand your government, it's not really that big of a deal. But it became a big deal because of media. It's easier to focus the dummies into one spot.
It's more sensational.
It is. It is. It's easier to be like, oh yeah, hey, you got to vote for the president. Oh hey, yeah, House of Representatives, 425 people or whatever the fuck. Like they don't give a fuck. They don't understand that number. There's too many numbers. 60 senators, fuck that. They all they give a shit about is the presidency. I mean, that's one person. That's done. And they don't understand what he can do. They don't understand that he has to, hire and fire people. He has to enforce whatever the fuck everyone else says.
Right.
That's all he has to do. But people are like, fuck, we want whatever. Fine, be it. so it's a weird thing where people, you're right. People just want power, and they don't even want power. They want the perception of power.
Even more, they don't want powerlessness. They don't want to feel lack of power. They want to feel like just enough is in control to where they could be content and get what.
You're right. Ego, though, they have the power, but they don't know that. They just want something simple, like the presidency. Like if you hold the House, Senate, and the fucking what is it, Supreme Court, you're fucking done. You pretty much get whatever you want. If you gave a shit, if you really gave a shit about any fucking thing, like illegal immigrants to this, to that, the wall that was never built, wars and shit like that. If you really gave a shit about economy or anything like that, you want the House and you want the Supreme Court, not the third part, the executive branch. You don't want that branch. You know what I mean? Like, that's not like, that's cool. He enforces the shit that everybody else says. And the Supreme Court says, yes, this is good. This is a good thing. Good. But they got it and they don't understand it. They don't want power. They want the illusion of power. That's really what this is about.
Well, they want the validation. They don't like that thinking that there's more people that don't think like them. They thought that they were in the majority as well, that there was enough people that thought like them to reelect, Trump again. And it turns out that there isn't. There's about 6 million people that don't think like that.
Well, hey, you don't know. They're still voting. Hey, look, I have to pee. So I have more topics, or we can just cut it. What do you think?
Well, we're at 2.5 hours right now.
2:15, but whatever.
No, save some. We'll go again next week.
You want to? All right. Well, let me bring up one last topic and call it a day, okay?
All right.
So I watched this movie called Unhinged. Have you seen Unhinged? Oh, dude, you got to watch Unhinged. So
I want to say I've heard of it, but
okay. So Russell Crowe plays spoiler. Russell Crowe plays like some kind of an incel where I guess life fucked him over, whatever the fuck. He's a white guy and he's fat.
Okay. Yeah,
and
I think I saw something like
it gets to a point where I was like, is that a fat suit? Because he's really fat. Like he's morbidly obese. And okay, so he's popping Norcos the whole movie. It's awesome. Okay, so where this movie succeeds with me is the fact that he is a bad guy of epic proportions. Like, that doesn't even make sense. Like, as in have you ever watch Little Shop of Horrors?
Okay.
Where he's really bad. That one, Steve Martin's super bad, where he takes like a candy from a baby. And I thought that was hilarious. And they meant that as satire.
Right.
This movie is the reverse. Spoiler, if you haven't seen this movie, you guys got to watch this fucking movie. This is great.
This movie. You're spoiling it for me right now.
I have to. But like, look, this shit's real. Yeah, you may not like it. Hey, you'll forget this shit anyways. Shut the fuck up. Like, so this movie, okay, check it out. So I have a feeling when I'm watching this movie, like every time something goes woke, like I get a twinge in the back of my head. I'm like, and like, I feel like the movie was made for like the woke crowd. Like you had a room of writers. Oh, let's think about the one person we fucking hate the most. But the reality, they kind of worked in a way where it was good. Okay, so they got this guy who's an incel, which wasn't a word before. It's another word for loser. Yeah. And this chick cuts him off, right? And after that, he goes from 0 to 10. And he like fucking kills her friends, her family. He kills people all around him. And he's just doing shit that doesn't make any kind of sense just to be an asshole. And he literally is an incel. And he says the shit that incels would say. You piece of shit, bitch. You think that I'm just insignificant. And like, she's just a normal person with a kid. It's not like she thought that this guy was a piece of shit. She just said some shit to him just flippantly. And he took it to the next level. And I have to say, I mean, like, of all the movies I've ever watched where they try to make one thing, it worked the other direction. I want a sequel to this fucking movie. I mean, like it was so good. Like not good as in like it was well written. This is an Oscar. It was like, I mean, the shit he said. He was like, "I'm gonna fucking kill you, bitch. You know what's like to feel insignificant." Like to feel like a number, like a little person. And he's fat and he's popping Norcos and shit. He's white. It's like they were like, let's just like mark all the parts of an incel. Like he's like this. He's fat. You know, like it's everything. It's so good. It's such a good movie, and it's like. I don't think they were going for that. I think they were trying to make it like a way where you were like, oh, I fucking hate incels. They should die. Rah. And yeah, I guess. But this movie really painted him in it was so fucking retarded, dude. It was so crazy. He was just like, he got her cell phone and then he starts killing her friends and shit. And he goes, hey, this, and like, all she did was cut him off. That's all she fucking did. And he turned it into fucking everything. He killed people. He killed cops, dude. It was fucking unreal. But it worked. It works in the movie, but it feels like they were trying to make it like, oh yeah, hate incels. But in reality, it was comical. It was like kind of like, you know, when Freddy Krueger started becoming cool. You know what I mean? Like he started playing the power glove. Now I'm playing with power. You know, like you're rooting for Freddy. But in reality, he's a fucking child molesting killer. You know what I mean? Like, but it took 6 movies and you got to a point where he's fucking novelty and he's awesome. They even had a rap song about him, the Fat Boys and him. It was awesome guy, you know? And they even had a movie where he fights Jason. The movie was, I mean, child molesting rapist murderer. And he's awesome. This guy is an incel, and they were trying to go to he was like a Freddy Krueger. They were trying to make him seem so bad, but you're like, man, this guy is such a piece of shit. And he's just like getting away with it. And it wasn't too extravagant. Like he wasn't like going into her dreams and shit and killing her, dude. It was like shit. It was cleverly written in ways of technology. You know, he's tracking her tablet and shit.
Like I think the scary thing is that there's really people out there that are like that. I mean, the movie probably turned it up to 11, right?
Oh, of course.
You know, but there are people out there that you can't assume everybody's playing by the same rules.
Yeah.
Some people that are they're just at that tipping point and they're waiting for you to just do one thing to receive an unequal response, you know? Because that response is coming from all of the other things that they perceive as slights against them.
Well,
they're focusing it all into you like a knife.
It felt like, okay, so you see this in cartoons. Like Ninja Turtles came out with a cartoon. It was pretty good. It seemed like good writers were handing down this fucking Ninja Turtle fucking thing, and it was really fucking good. It was CG animated and everything, and it wasn't that great looking. But the story was really fucking good. It seemed like woke producers were like, hey, let's fucking do this, cashing on this wokeness. And these writers were really fucking good. So they were like, all right, so we're going to make crap. Because when you're shooting in for wokeness and you're just going for crap. And they're like, let's make this the most outrageous fucking movie we can make it. And make it work. And they did. I'm telling you, it's like as if like people who are part of some kind of establishment were like, do this. And then these writers were like, you don't know what you've done. We're going to make something awesome. And like I said, Ninja Turtles, like the guys who made that Ninja Turtles, I'm to this day, just like Clone Wars, it's something where good people get something and are like, oh, I'll fucking make this badass. And they do. Like Fillion, he made something that was like whatever, badass. And I'm watching Clone Wars now and I'm like, this is good. Ninja Turtles, same thing. It's fucking turtles who do ninjutsu. The fuck out of here. And they made a good show. I mean, the way they make it, it's really good. It's better than the movies. It is. I'm just saying. I watched it out of novelty. Like I'm like, hey Seth, watch this shit. And I'm watching it and I'm like, oh shit. This is so good. This shit is good. Unhinged was of that ilk. It was like, let's make an incel movie. And the guys are like, I see what you guys are doing. We're gonna make something good though. And they made something really fucking good. It's going to be a movie that no one's going to know about, but it's ridiculous. Like, it's fucking comical, but it's like, it's fucked up, right? But you're going to laugh when you watch it. That's all I gotta say about that.
All right.
All right.
We'll
We're
review it
done.
after I watch it.
Definitely. I mean, like it's that good. I just watch it the way I taught you how to watch things. Anyways,
By myself?
no, I mean like through the streaming and such.
Oh my gosh.
Don't pay money.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's it for Podcastforwe. We made an episode of epic proportions. We talked longer than I thought we would. I figured we'd keep it in an hour, but we got caught up on the PlayStation 5 conversation. Always be the better person than you were yesterday. That tomorrow person you want to be, the one who does 50 push-ups that you don't be that person today. So, as always, head on a swivel. Stay fucking frosty. I don't even know what the fuck.
All that good stuff.
All that good stuff. I don't even know where the stop button is on this shit. Oh, there's a stop button.